magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast. What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? Yes, I am back for the Saturday night Transformers Slag Podcast Saturday Night live stream main event. I am your host, Protoman. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you hear Monday to Friday, and it is Saturday. We are back at the Saturday schedule. I apologize for my voice a little bit. I'm a little under the weather. I did a convention last week, so the glorious Aaron Archer filled in for me last Saturday, and thank you for Aaron for a great segment. And you did a good one yesterday, too. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I feel like I caught something, so never lick the side of the face of your attendees of the convention you run. Let's just put it that way. We used to call it con crud. Yeah, I also got a little bit of a haircut. Again, you got to look good for the cons, right? Got to be professional. You got to look good. It's actually not cut very well because took a shower after and it's kind of sticking up there. I'm going to have to fix that. Anyways, how we all doing? We're going to be talking a lot of Transformer stuff today. It was quite a packed week. A lot of stuff to discuss, a lot of stuff to speculate and enjoy. Got some cool stuff that we picked up because it was that con weekend, so we got some cool stuff. Yeah. Thank you. The hoodie is actually a Symbiot Studios hoodie for San Diego Comic-Con. So you'll probably see me rocking one of these if you go to SDCC this year at the Symbiot Studios, and I'll probably swing by the Hasbro booth too at some point. So I don't know if Joseph's in the chat, but I don't know if he sells these, so I can't confirm that. But yeah, so we're going to talk Transformers. Who do we got here today from the YouTube members and, of course, our patrons? We got Aces on I. We got James Hopkins, Rodimus Power Toys. We got Transformatics Lizard Sphere X. Talib's here. Haven't seen Talib in a while. T-Formers 2002. Who else? Bigum is here. Horned Owl. Michael Koo is here, one of our patrons. Michael Butcher is here. Who else? Billy B, also one of our patrons. Ashnut is here. A lot of great people. Black Crow, Princeton Phalanx 59, Patrick Brown, and everyone else is still coming in. I know people like to wait until it's time to go live. So let's do this. We got a lot to cover. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to give their opinions too, because there's a lot of stuff back and forth and everything. First thing we're going to cover, of course, is our brand new line for 2025. We talked about it briefly during the live stream because it was all going live then, but let's cover it here too. So Transformers Generations Prime, our 2025 Classics-esque, Universe-esque, whatever will be after Legacy. You know, whatever you want to call it. I hate the term chug. I just use Classic-esque kind of line. And we got a bunch of different listings here, a bunch of different stuff. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Package refresh, for this bad girl right here. Let me just pull it up. This beauty bad girl. Anyone who has not gotten this, Michael Koo hooked me up with this one. I think he got it from Ross. Look at that price, $7.99. Is there any wonder that they needed to refresh and resell those at $7.99? So package refresh on that one. Then we got a Transformers Generations Prime Deluxe Venom, so we're completing our Insecticons. Oh, we'll get into Insecticons in a moment. Transformers Generation Prime Deluxe Swindle. I put the animated one, but in all honesty, it could be any Swindle. I mean, obviously, when they leave out a designation, it usually defaults to G1. Look at Venom compared to, let's say, the Wasp listing under it that says animated. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's a Cybertron Swindle, repaint of Hardtop. Maybe it's a movie Swindle, although that would be more of a studio series thing. But, we'll see what it is. Some kind of Swindle. I mean, if it is a G1 Swindle, then aren't we just kind of saying, hey, guys, check it out. We're going to be getting combiners again. Maybe it's a really weird Swindle that takes the Hound that we have, our brand new Hound, Earth Mode Hound, and then repaints it into Swindle and calls it Alternators Swindle. Who knows? There's a lot of ways you could pick apart that one. Then, of course, we got the Transformers Generations Prime Deluxe Animated Wasp. We knew this one was coming, of course. Second, we got Bumblebee. It was only a matter of time. I apologize. I am a little still under the weather. It is going to be a little rough for me. on this one. Transformers Generation Prime Voyager class Flatline. This one is probably going to be the IDW Comics version instead of the movie one. Again, that would be more of a studio series item. And I don't know, I just see them going with that Andrew Griffith design just because it had a tie to a Trailbreaker mold, so they could kind of ride with that a little bit too. At least that's what I think. We got a Transformers Generations Prime Voyager class RID Skybite. I mean, Skybite won the Hall of Fame, so that kind of guarantees that he's going to get a toy at some point. And again, like I speculated before, I mean, he's due for a trademark refresh anyways, since Cyberverse, which was the last time he had a toy. So bound to happen. And then, of course, Red Alert, Transformers Generations Prime Voyager class Armada Red Alert. Same story when we saw, JP93 in that T-Rex 2-pack with Jurassic Park. It was just like, when are we getting Red Alert from that? So that's a given. Transformers Generation Prime Voyager class Rescue Bots Heatwave. That one, again, I gave my opinions in my individual segments. Unless there's something I'm missing, he's going to be too large because the rescue bots were very uniform in their design, and the chase figure is pretty good, and he's your pretty standard deluxe class figure. So I'm very curious if they're just going to kind of like beef him up, but he'll still be short, and by short I mean short for a Voyager, so that he'll still stand toe to toe with Chase. I hope so. I like Heatwave as a figure, as a character, excuse me. I liked his voice actor in the show. Stephen Blum did a great job. So very curious with that. And then, of course, Transformers Generation Prime Leader Class G2 Grimlock. No surprise with that one. Original colors, shattered glass, comic book colors, Toxitron colors, a reissue that's coming out soon of the original Studio Series 86. So that's 5 releases right there. And now a 6th one with G2. Do you think they got their money's worth with a Grimlock tooling? I think so. I think so. And then if they want to really go deep cut, then do G2 light blue colors for anyone who's a completist. But yeah, madness, madness. And then, of course, let's talk about our next combiner. You know, you could send super chats whenever, my friend. You could always interrupt with the super chats, usually, especially when it's topic related to what's on the screen. Super chats are always welcome. It's what keeps the doors open on this madness that we do here on the podcast. Super chats always help a lot. So let's talk about our aerial bots. I'm going to do an individual segment about these guys because there's a lot to talk about that I did not cover when I did my segment on Saturday, where it was just like, man, there's a lot to talk here. There's a lot to talk here. Rodimus Power with the YouTube member super chat question. Who actually made your intro song? It's really good. It's called The Presenter by Kevin McLeod. Kevin has been my source of music for 10 plus years. No joke. Back in my old proto retro days, when I did my old toy review channel, um, Kevin used to make the music for that stuff too. And I think Presenter was used even at one point there. He did a lot of like heavy rock music and stuff. So it's The Presentor by Kevin McLeod. I should probably upload that one day and you guys could download it in MP3 or something. You can make it your ringtones if you want. But that's my jam. I like that one. It channels what I like. But thank you for the question, Rodimus Power. Um, anyway, so like again, we got the crew here, all deluxes as expected. Uh, I'm telling you, it's we're pretty much, some people think, oh well, Superion's going to be a leader. I think they're going to make Superion, not Superion, Silverbolt the commander class. I really do. I think that there's a way that because if you if you look at how just look at this design on the right, the Fluoro Dairy design, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to hollow out those legs. You're going to clip in your 2 aerial bot members. It's going to be the same kind of styling like they did with Menasor, and he'll be a commander class, and he'll be a big old commander class. And you might say to yourself, well, what's the retool potential with that later? Well, they're going to do a G2 color at some point. At some point they're going to look at that big jet and go like, hey, maybe we could do like a movie combiner, Jetfire or something, because he's also a big old jet that's kind of like that. And you could do like movie Jetfire and do some like, seeker jets that are like the limbs, which was actually an old Bakan idea back in the day that kind of never really got off the ground. Almost did, but not exactly. But I mean, this is pretty hype. It's pretty hype. I dig it. As I predicted, like everyone was like, "Oh, who do you think the next combiner is going to be?" Obviously, Devastator for Studio Series is one thing, but I always knew that they were going to go with the aerial bots. It just made sense from a trademark standpoint. Like everyone else kind of had their fix. They did stuff through Cyberverse, not Cyberverse, RID 2015. They managed to use trademarks of other characters and other stuff too, but the aerial bots were really absent in all of that trademark stuff. And I'm just like, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. And well, lo and behold, I mean, that's why you guys listen to the podcast because we just use logic here and that's just how it rolls, yo. I dig it. I think it looks cool. Stay tuned in the future. I'm going to probably do maybe this week an individual segment going deeper into these guys and what I really think's going on here. Because there's a lot more than what people, there's a lot of emotional reactions, but there's a lot of more logical reactions I want to talk about when it comes to this guy. So stay tuned for that this week. And then, of course, oh yeah, let's talk about the original 13 and what pretty much this segmentation is going to be pretty much named after the Generations Prime. It should have been called Generation Primes with an S. That probably would have been better, and it would have differentiated it from the Transformers Prime TV series. But it is what it is. I guess there's a trademark there they got to protect in some shape or form, like the Prime on its own. So we got a whole bunch of original 13 guys. I would have liked them personally to be, I mean, it would have been expensive. I understand why they went with these price points, but I would have loved it if universally they were all like leader classes, just to kind of stick true to Aaron Archer's vision of these were big guys, these were like titans. I obviously that to make them Titan class, forget about it, but at least like leader, not commander, it's a little much, but at the same time, I get why they didn't because that would just be way too expensive. The investment on tooling, on leader classes, the way that assortments are laid out, it just would have not worked. So I get it, and I think it's going to be super fun. It's something that we've been waiting for a very very long time. We got original 13 members here and there throughout the past couple of years. Lizard Sphere X for the $5 super chat. With Silverbolt, I hope he doesn't have a yellow thigh as a torso. It might look like someone shoved 2 sticks of butter into his other mode. Well, they do go for screen accuracy. Let's just go back to that slide for a second. They do go for screen accuracy, so I'd hate to break it to you, but that's probably what's going to probably happen. I mean, Evan and Mark, when they do their designs with with the Japanese crew at Takara Tomy, that's kind of the lean. So I hate to break it to you, but they're probably going to be yellow. Maybe they'll be yellow at the front, and maybe they'll be not yellow from the back, just because of paint deco and maybe transformation and how it'll sit in the vehicle mode. Who knows? But 2 sticks of butter, I do not know. I do not know. Cannot believe it's not butter. Back to the 13. Thank you, Lizard Sphere X, for the super chat. But look, Solus Prime, we never technically got like a figure of her ever in any shape or form outside of third party, but I'm not counting that. Alchemist, we got that non-transforming Cyberverse, McAdams figure. So we'll probably get something that now transforms. Micronus, we got some stuff through Cyberverse, so that kind of counts. Prima, I always keep this right on my keep this on my tower. That'll always be my official Prima figure. Third party sword, of course, but official Aaron Archer um, Protoform Optimus repaint that was retconned into Prima in the IDW comics. So that's actually official. That's like an official Prima figure when you think about it. So that one's pretty hyped that we're going to be getting an official Prima at a Voyager price point. So that makes me happy too. At least that one's going to be a large and in charge one. Alpha Trion. We've got so many Alpha Trions throughout the years. The only way this one could be a little different is if they go with that old style that you see here, that old art style from the Covenant of Primus, and include the Covenant, include the quill as an accessory. The Fallen, geez, between the Fallen and Megatronus through RID 2015, he got plenty of figures. Just this one will probably be based off of, again, that Covenant design. Maybe I should get the book. Let me grab the Covenant, the good old Covenant of Primus there. I have the whole attachment piece too. You have like all the nice art that was in it there. Just great stuff. Absolutely great. Look at that. Onyx, the birth of the beasts, and the well of the Allspark. And there's Amalgamus, who is unfortunately not in the list, which we'll get into in a moment. And then the last one, Onyx Prime. Oh, where do I put the book? I don't want to damage it. It's such a grail. And then Onyx Prime. Oh, we got another super chat. Sarah with the super chat with, I believe it's the Mexican pesos, 50 Mexican pesos. So this guy sells me the legendary leader Takara Optimus for $60. Should I buy it or keep it or wait for Studio Series Evasion mode? The legendary leader one is really good. I like the paint deco on it. I don't know about $60 though, in all honesty, because I do feel when Hasbro is going to get around to doing a Studio Series one, they're going to probably knock it out of the park. And because that evasion design is so G1-ish, you're going to see a ton of different repaints of it, and then you'll get all these options, and it won't be $60. It's going to be a Voyager, and it's going to not be $60, and they'll paint the hell out of it, so you'll get a ton of options. So I'll be honest with you, it's a really good toy. I don't know if it's $60 worth. I would pass. Just my personal take. And I'm assuming $60 American, you're saying, not 60 uh, Mexican pesos. And in that case, I do not know the exchange on that. You'd have to help me out. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. Glad to help. So again, we got Onyx Prime, the Beasts. Again, he's someone that's a leader, makes sense with those big old wings and stuff. But we're still missing a few members, and I think the choices of the members that are absent make sense. Again, Amalgamus, that's just something where it's like, where do you go with that for the time being? It's one of those characters that you're just like, maybe we'll wait to figure that one out. The combiner elements of Nexus Prime. We're already like knee deep in combiners. That's something that you revisit. You do Nexus Prime after you've done a whole bunch of combiners, and then you can mix and match something like the original Nexus Prime toy through the Fun publication. So I could kind of see that being done. Quintus Prime. Right now, Quintus Prime is a thing in the Earthspark TV show. So it's something where, maybe they want to make a Quintus Prime in the Earthspark toy line, so they don't want to do something here just yet, and they'll do it later. Makes sense. Who am I forgetting? Oh, of course, we cannot forget the Arisen. And the Arisen is just it's Optimus Prime. That's kind of vanilla. I've never been a fan of that. I've always would have went with something else. I would have made that a separate character completely. I would have made it a separate character that's like the chosen one element. Like Prima could be the first bearer of the Matrix, but the Arisen could be like the unlocking key. Like just like how, and again, I don't want to step on anything Aaron has done in his storytelling elements, but like how I could have always envisioned the Arisen is, Solus is the Forge, Alchemist is medicine and creation. Micronus is Micromasters and Mini and energy and unlocking that energy. Prima is the first and the bearer of the Star Saber blade and the first bearer of the Matrix of Leadership. Through that, Alpha Trion is the scribe that writes history and everything. The Fallen is the typical judo Christian kind of story of the fallen angel that falls to the devil and the archangel, if you will, or Lucifer, that was once part of the angels, now becomes the devil. So, and you have that element with him, which then brings the perversion and deception element to the Cybertronian race, which also is shared with Liege Maximo, who I actually forgot to mention too. Liege Maximo is also another one that's absent. Liege Maximo, which also represents deception and all that kind of stuff that exists within the Cybertronian race. Of course, Solus, the female element. Onyx Prime, the beast element, and everything. And then Amalgamus, just anything that isn't within the standard of Transformers. Amalgamus kind of represents that. Nexus with the combiner element, Quintus with that more organic element, and not to mention the seeding of the future and the different Cybertronian colonies. And when you get to the Arisen, I feel that that could be the unlocker. That could be the one who opens the matrix. That could be the one that, is tied to cyber planet keys, MacGuffins. Like the Arisen should be the chosen ones. And that's where like you then have a lineage that leads to Rodimus Prime. Why Optimus can't use the Matrix? Why Ultra Magnus can't use the Matrix, but Hot Rod Rodimus can? And then after Hot Rod Rodimus passes away, and he goes back to the Allspark, and the next Arisen comes, whoever that could be. But that's what I feel the 13 should have represented, and I think that IDW and the Covenant of Primus kind of made it a little too vanilla, in my opinion, by making it just Optimus. That's kind of boring, in my opinion. I like Optimus as a soldier. I like Optimus as an important soldier that turned the tides of the war and everything, but to also make him tied to like the beginnings of Transformers and make it the same guy. Like if it's a descendant, that's fine, but it's the same dude, that's kind of boring, you know? Oh, he lost his memory and then became part of the war, and then we just got an amnesia leader. It's like, that's kind of blah, you know? And I'm not saying Hot Rod should be the 13th. I'm just saying that he should have that DNA of that, where the 13th is the unlocker. He's the one who unlocks the Matrix to use against Unicron that first time when they fought with the 13. Like Prima got, struck down, the Matrix of leadership was broken out of the Star Saber blade, and the Arisen used the Matrix to comatose Unicron, not take him away, but just put him away. Like he's the unlocker, he's the key. He's the cyber planet key. He's the key to Vector Sigma. He's the unlocker of stuff. And that's how I would have written it. And I've always been kind of funky with that one, personally. That's just my take. I'm sure Aaron will be like, huh. But either way. Um I don't know. I don't even know what Aaron's take on 13 is. I know he talked about it briefly, but he didn't really give like a plus or minus on that one. Sarah with the super chat, there's going to be some kind of media that supports Generations Prime because the common folk, I don't think, are going to show much interest about it. I would hope so. Honestly, Sarah, I would really hope so because I think that a lot of people would be a little confused by it. I mean, when they did the Covenant of Primus book, it sold well enough with the fans, but it didn't sell crazy. And now, like, the secondary market for the Covenant of Primus goes for crazy money because there just isn't big population of it. And that was like that was a very Aaron Archer idea. Like, let's really take Transformers seriously as a brand, and we could do like crazy books like this for the hardcore fans, and it would just be nice. I mean, the closest we got to media with the Covenant of Primus and the Primes before was in Transformers Prime in their light mention, and then, of course, continued into Robots in Disguise 2015. But then, you got little things here and there with the Combiner Wars, Power of the Prime, Go 90 CG animated shorts, which were, they were okay. But in a lot of different elements. I mean, it's funny how Power of the Primes was such a factor in the toy line of Power of the Primes with the 13, but yet they were very rarely mentioned or shown at all in the animation stuff that they did. But that's a whole other discussion. But we'll see. We will see. I would love that personally. I think that if you're like, I think we need to get to a point where especially with what's going on with the sales of Earthspark and the toy line not doing well and the show not getting the ratings that they had hoped for, that you could really just then tie it all back. If you're going to be losing all this money on Earthspark merchandise, why not just not lose money on that, double down on your legacy stuff, and then put content related to your legacy stuff, even though it doesn't need the content. I mean, it just would be fun that way. I mean, if you don't want to include all the toys that we just talked about, the Armada Red Alerts and the Wasps, yeah, sure. But I mean, if there is key elements that could be told, like if you did a whole story of just the true origin of the Transformers, and yeah, to some people that's like, that might be risky. You might not work well with a certain audience. They might not want to watch this big, deep story that isn't really trying to sell toys in a deeper sense. But it would be cool. I mean, if they did something that was a Netflix exclusive series that was a little more serious, that isn't bad CG, which I can't stress enough, But if they did something like that and talked about the original, like literally just told the creation of Cybertron, the story that has never been animated or told properly. In the beginning, there was the Big Bang and there was Unicron. And then the second Big Bang happened and Unicron destroyed the universe and went back into slumber. And then the third Big Bang happened. And that is the universe we live in today. And Unicron arose again. And then because he arose again, he fought. But this time, Alpha leads to Omega, and the one, which is the all god of all the universe, created the light Primus to fight Unicron, and they fought on the astral plane and then got captured into the Cybertronian and Unicronian asteroids that we know today, and tell that whole story, even over 13 episodes, 25 episodes, 28 episodes, whatever's the runtime that they want to do. I'd be so down for that. And it would be such a great story because when you read The Covenant of Primus, there's so much drama and intrigue. I mean, you could have Liege Maximo be the Loki character that's screwing with everything, although it's much more like Mephisto in a lot of ways. But, just having like that character just kind of screwing around in the background, manipulating everything, the fall of Megatronus and him doubting himself leading to the murder of certain characters. I don't want to spoil for people who didn't read the book, you know, the relationship between him and Solus, and then like, Prima and his duties and the conflictions that exist within the mind of the scribe and Alpha Trion. There's so much that could be said there and so much story that could be told. The question is, would people enjoy it? Would people enjoy it? Would people want to then buy action figures of them? Would kids enjoy it? Is it toyetic enough for that, or is it too serious? So that's something that's the big issue, the big issue there. What did you say here, Billy B? Let me check in a moment. I also have a YouTube member thing too. Billy B, given Simon Furman's connection to Marvel, I feel he borrows the idea of Primus from Marvel's Celestial. Oh, 100%. Well, I guarantee that Simon, when he was thinking all of this up, he was definitely looking at Jack Kirby's entire cosmic universe to begin with. The Celestials, when you're talking like, look, even something like Unicron, you know, which Unicron was pretty much a Ron Freeman, Fleur Deary collaboration. And then Simon just took it and then created this whole like Galactus origin story. If you read like Galactus's deep origin, Gallon as he was called, there's like a whole extra layer of another universe, another timeline, and his birth through that and the collapse of his universe. And it's like, I'm sure Simon was reading a few comics in the Marvel office at the time and gaining inspiration for sure. For sure, Billy. I 100% agree with you. Mr. Bumblebot with the YouTube member question. I hope Cyber TVP is good so we can get him in gold. I have no idea what you're talking about. I assume you're saying Cybertron Vector Prime. Um, that's another reason why I don't think we have a Vector Prime here on this list, is because he's going to be a Voyager class Legacy United figure. And chances are they'll do the Vector Prime, they'll do the gold repaint, they'll do the brown last of the Autobots repaint, which was a universe repaint. They could do the Alpha Trion repaint if they want. There's a lot there that could be covered.
Megatron must
So
be stopped, no
pretty
matter the
fantastic.
cost.
Pretty fantastic. Brainstorm 2002 became a YouTube member. Thank you, Brainstorm, for joining. Welcome to the madness and welcome to asking all the questions you need to ask. Um, yeah, T-Formers 2000. Micronus at least got a toy too. That's the one thing too, is like there was a few characters that actually a lot of characters that appeared in RID 2015 that never got toys. I'm at least happy that Micronus got one. So at least if you wanted to have at the time a Micronus figure, that would be the case. So, but it's cool. It's cool. I'm very excited about this. I mean, the original 13 has always been my jam. I've always felt the original 13, and you could ask Jaws D. Jaws D like used to be like, man, Protoman used to talk about this stuff like back in high school like it was religion, and it was just like the original 13 has always been something that I felt gave Transformers legitimacy as science fiction as opposed to just a kid's cartoon. And this is me like talking like it was like 1999. Beast Wars just had ended. We just had started Beast Machines. And I always looked at the Marvel books and went like, this is where Transformers really like separated itself from just being a toy cartoon that was like silly and everything. And Beast Wars just, knocked it out of the park at that time. And the original 13 just added that extra sci-fi element to it that was so much bigger than what we thought it was. So I always love that, and I'm glad that we're going into that for 2025. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, now that we've gotten out of that, let's talk about some important dates. So next week, this week, whatever you want to call it, we're going to get a sneak peek from the Walmart Collector Con, which is going to be on March 7th. I believe it's going to be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it was last time. It was at 11 o'clock that they gave us a sneak peek. So we're going to get a sneak peek this Thursday on the 7th coming up. And then the full release will be on the 14th, a week later after that. So stay tuned for that. That's probably going to be the Star Seekers line that we talked about. We did an individual segment just last week about it. So if you want to know what the Star Seekers are, what potentially is going to be part of that, and what's going to be in those case assortments, and what you're going to probably be buying, go check out that individual segment. We covered that quite extensively. And speaking of pre-orders, let's jump into that one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I felt like we've been talking about these guys for like 6 months. And every time we got just a little piece of it, we talked about it. So it's pretty hype. And we got here the Autobots United 5-pack, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive. Guys, I am telling you, and I'm going to say it again, this is value. This is value beyond value. This is something where if you don't pick up this set, you're going to regret it later. Uh, because there is people that paid $80 for Sunstreaker. There is people that paid $100 for Thundercracker, for Trailbreaker. There is people that paid $30 to $35 for Jazzes. I don't know about many people that paid outside of MSRP for Wheeljacks. That one's pretty well covered. But and not to mention that mold got used a bunch of times, even through the Netflix one. And then you're getting that brand new Hound that everyone's been clamoring about. And I know that up to that point, people were using their Siege Hound as their go-to. So this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. It also gets rid of that clear plastic that was used on a lot of the tooling. So if you have a worry of stuff breaking or chipping, that won't be the case with this one. So great stuff. Fantastic. And the price, $109.99. Considering that it's $25 for a deluxe today, and if you did the math right here, that's way above that. So that's really good. That's really, really good. They're right on the number with this one. Fantastic stuff. Very happy with that. You even save money. You're actually saving a little bit, let alone if you wanted to buy those old ones. And having to pay those secondary market prices. Let's not even talk about that. I am surprised how badly those guys got scalped. But this is shipping out July 15th, 2024. I believe currently sold out on Hasbro Pulse, unfortunately. But if some of them show up again, or if you are Canadian and there might be some box sets that show up at GameStop, or the UK sometimes also gets it, you know, good savings there. Great opportunity to get figures that currently right now in other ways would have been quite difficult. It's great stuff. It's absolutely great stuff. I'm super stoked about it, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do more of this. I think they're going to be revisiting a lot of the other Autobot characters and giving it this treatment. We already saw it with the Hound, not the Hound, the Cup. We saw it with the Cliff Jumper. I think that this is a way that they're going to revisit a lot of those Autobots. Even stuff like, like even I could see them revisiting the Hot Rod and the Blur. I could see them taking another crack at it, putting a little more paint into it, making it a web exclusive, and people will dig it. People will dig it. David Cabal with the YouTube member question: are they setting us up for a cartoon 84 Arc crew? Well, I mean, there's a lot of them right here. I mean, we're slowly building to that. That's for sure. I think there's very few left, and I think we need a good wind charger. That's another one that's kind of absent in a lot of ways. Trying to get a good one of him. There has been a few good wind charger figures in the past, just nothing too modern yet in the past couple of years. So Michael Koo says, still available on BBTS. Well, there you go. How much is it on BBTS, Michael? I hope they're not like upselling it. because I mean there's so much savings before. So if they upsell it like 5-10 bucks, then it's not terrible. But the only thing that sucks is you get free shipping with Pulse. You saved money on top of that because of how much it is. So it would be kind of a shame. Kind of a shame if there's still a little bit of a wiggle there, but looking good. Looking good though. I really like it a lot. Again, July 15th, not too far away. So that's another thing too. You don't have to wait too long for this one. You know, don't have to wait at all. Great stuff. And then we have our another big one too. That's a good investment. Let's talk about the Transformers uh, Amazon exclusive Doom and Destruction Mayhem Attack Squad stuff. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Need a new Power Glide. Well, that's not the original art crew, but yeah, we need a new Power Glide. We need, and Power Glide's a good one too because you could repaint that into Bad Boy, so you could get your GoBots repaint. You could do the Rattler, so you could get a GI Joe connection there. So, and I always say if you could get 3 out of a mold, you've already done your job. So with Power Glide, you got 3 right there. And then you could have like, open the chest, has the heart in there, maybe a little Historia figure. Like, I would be down for a Power Glide. That'd be pretty cool. Good old David Wise episode, The Girl Who Loves Power Glide. Rest in peace, David Wise. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff. David Cabal says he would love a pink hot rod. Well, we almost we got the magenta. It's almost there. Almost there. But yeah, new version of Power Glide, I'm down for. So let's talk about this. So we got our other 2 deluxe Insecticons in Chop Shop and Barrage, looking amazing. And what I love about this, and I talked about it in my individual segment, it shows how far you could go and change the look and silhouette of a figure with just a small little retooling and plugging in a few pieces. Those 5mm pegs that were present on those original Insecticons made all the difference in planning ahead for, oh, we're going to put some legs there. We're going to use those 5mm ports to use for plugging in insect legs. And that was so smart. That's some real forward thinking going on there. And it just worked out so well that like, man, I must be missing something for when they're going to do Venom. Like if Venom is going to be maybe a retool from somebody also instead of a brand new tooling, it'd be cool if he was a brand new tooling, but I could see them retooling it from somebody. But man, they really knocked it out of the park. The Barrage looks fantastic with the weapons. The Chop Shop is great too. It's a shame he doesn't really have kind of like something that's a prime representative of his old weapons that he had, but still looks really great. It's probably the best Chop Shop we've had in like literally like 40 years, which is crazy when you think about it since the original toy in 85. So that's really cool. The only question is now, if you could we take that Barrage? Do you think we could retool it a little bit? And then for my boys from the Beatras Japanese side, could we get the Ladybug, Lady Papal? Could we, like, if we change the legs a little bit, maybe the head sculpt, get a Ladybug out of that? That'd be pretty hype. Then we could get the female too. 5 deluxe Insecticons with the female, the unknown female, deep cut. I dig it. I'm down for that. She never got a toy. She got solicited. She was shown in catalogs. She was shown in coloring books. Never got anything else. No toy. And part of that 3-pack is Malleus Minotaurus. I'm still conflicted on who this character is supposed to represent. Again, because of the Covenant of Primus, Mr. Loki himself, Liege Maximo, gave Solus Prime a pet that kind of also was like a double agent that watched over things and created mayhem. So I'm kind of going, is that a representative of that? Some people are like, oh, it represents the Forge of Solus. I don't know. I think that's a little too on the nose, considering we're getting a Solus Prime toy that's probably going to come with a Forge of Solus. I think there might be something deeper there. And again, with the Forge of Solus logo on his forehead, and the fact that the Forge of Solus logo also was on the Octopunch toy, and Octopunch was one of the leaders of the Mayhem Attack Squad in the IDW 2019 continuity. I'm going down the rabbit hole, but it is interesting. At the end of the day, they wanted to do a repaint of that Smashdown toy. I think that's what it was at the end of the day, because they did that first release, in Siege. They repacked it again in Earthrise to get some extra mileage out of it. And then that was it. They never did a repaint. So this is a way to repaint it and do something with it. And that's that, so pretty hype, pretty hype. Oh, we got a super chat from Brainstorm 2002. Thank you, Brainstorm. I bought the bug set because Barrage is the only deluxe Insecticon that appears on TV, and it was in the Family Guy skit. Yep, it was. That is correct. Um, that's with the Negatron skit. I think I pointed that too on my Twitter when I first saw that. Also, I was like, oh, that's nice. Makes me wonder who at Family Guy was like a hardcore G1 guy to like pick Barrage out of random. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me. Like Transformers have popped up on Family Guy all the time. Literally, like season 1 of Family Guy had Transformers. Season 3 had Transformers. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone at Family Guy is like, you know what? Barrage was a childhood toy. It's kind of like me. If I did a Family Guy skit, it would probably have like Blaster in there, or I would have put Chop Shop because that was my first deluxe Insecticon. So who knows? But that's pretty hype. That's pretty hype. Again, I just love the fact that we're getting the deluxe Insecticons. It literally took 39 years. You know what I mean? Like we're coming on 40 years of waiting for this. So that's super hype. That is like super hype. And then we got the 2-pack of Breakdown and Windsweeper. Oh, and by the way, the Chop Shop, Barrage, and Malleus 3-pack, that one's going to be $54.99. So the money breakdown of that, Protoman math is like, well, again, deluxe is $24.99. That's $50 together. And then where do you get that $4.99 with Malleus here? Well, chances are the Battle Master price point probably would have been $7 to $8 today with inflation. So you're probably saving like $3 to $4 with this set with Malleus. So if you would have bought them all individually in retail, let's say. So there's some savings there, which is pretty good. So Breakdown and Windsweeper. So this is the more controversial one. This is the one where some people either love it or hate it. I will admit that the breakdown probably is the weakest of the bunch, in my opinion. I still dig it though. I mean, I think that if you ask me which do you like more, the breakdown or the bulkhead that it came from, I like the breakdown more. I think it works better with this one. I think the bulkhead was probably the less correct choice of mold for that character. Let's put it that way. I mean, character's name Bulkhead. He should have been more bulky. You know, and historically bulkhead characters have always been bulky, so this one works better for breakdown, but still kind of the weakest of the bunch. I do like that they use the Amazon exclusive tooling, so you get the hammer included with it too. That's pretty good. And Windsweeper, unfortunately I have a little bit of a bias because I brought this guy to life when I got to work on him, and I just love that there's a brand new version of him. Like I real like a character that historically didn't have a lot of a background and a story, and I got to do that with it with the Combiner Wars version. So the fact that we have, an update of him, and the fact that they do something with those two target masters, Ozone and Clean Sweep, and there's a story element being told there and keeping them silver for the trigger cons. I love it. I love it. If anyone's getting this set and doesn't want their Windsweepers, contact me. I will gladly go halfsies on you with it. You know what I mean? Um, because I just want to get the Windsweepers. I want to build an army of them because I love Windsweeper and I have a close connection to that creatively throughout the year. So pretty hype stuff. This set is going to be $59.99. And when you kind of do the math there, you're like, you're nickel and diming that one. That's like not even nickel and penny and diming that one at best. So you're just pretty much breaking even on that one. I feel that this is going to be the set that might go on clearance. I don't want to sound negative, but like I think that the Insecticon one, boom, it sold out on Hasbro Pulse. The 2-pack of Windsweeper sold out on Hasbro Pulse, but keep in mind Hasbro Pulse numbers, I believe, is like 5% of the inventory. So if there was like a grand total of like, let's say, I'm going to say like just throw it out there, 5,000 units each of these 2-packs, and they get 5%. I mean, they probably sold out quickly because they didn't have a lot. And then the rest of it goes to, of course, Amazon, where Amazon right now, the Breakdown Windsweeper 2-pack is not sold out. So there might be a sale opportunity later. Let's put it that way. We got some super chats we got to cover. For Sarah, with again the 50 Mexican pesos. I always like when Transformers goes full biblical, like when the angel Mike I guess Angel Megatron killed the Red Dragon, or when Tiger Hawk, or was Tiger Hawk. So Onyx could be Shockwave. Oh, you're talking about IDW stuff. You're doing a little bit of spoilers there, my friend. There's still people who haven't read the IDW books. That's people always ask me, it's like, why don't you talk about the IDW comics? And it's like, there is so many people I talk to in the Transformer fandom. You have to understand, I sat next to James Roberts for 3 years straight. 3 years straight of conventions sitting next to James. And it was fascinating how many people have never read the IDW comics. In like, you're in a convention, over 1,000 Transformer fans, maybe only 5% of them have read the IDW books. So it's something where I don't like to talk about them because there's some good stuff there, some bad stuff there too, in my opinion. Like there's good ideas and bad ideas. James knows what I feel of his bad ideas. James knows very well. Um, but at the same time, that's why I try to avoid talking about it because I want people to be surprised and enjoy it for the first time. But I do like the biblical stuff. I'm not even a religious person, but I find that the Bible has a lot of good story elements to them that are, Cain and Abel, the brothers betraying each other, you know, and just like, the great flood. There's so many great storytelling elements there that when applied to fiction, if unless you're one of those people that feel the Bible is fiction. I feel that in a lot of ways. And again, I don't want to go on a religious. If you want to be religious, that's cool. You know what I mean? If you don't want to be religious, that's cool too. But I've always felt the Bible, it might be something that's more a gathering of stories, of real stories. Are those stories one for one accurate to what they were before? But who knows? Who knows? But the point is that they're great stories, and they're great stories that could be applied when you apply it to fiction and fictional characters, and you supplement, Lizard Sphere X, Samson, Daniel and the Lions, where I got my name from. It's a Bible name, you know. Daniel in the Den of the Lions, or like David and Goliath. There's so many great stories that you could take those stories, those themes, and then you attach it to stuff like that. The story of David and Goliath. That's the story of like, a small Autobot fighting against the Constructicons Devastator, and taking him out, hitting him right between the eyes, with a blast or like a slingshot, like a wheelie doing that. So there's so much there that I always feel is great to pull stories from, and it does not surprise me that Transformers has done it, and a lot of other media, because there's a lot of great stories there. I went to a private school that had you reading um, we'll call it the Old Testament, which is the Torah, and I was only in it for a short period of time in my life, so I'm very familiar with that stuff. And there's stories to be told there that you could pull from. David Kamal, and the Bible could get gory. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, think about it, right, David? You have the serpent that makes them betray God, and that serpent is Liege Maximo that makes, Megatronus betray God. There's so many layers to it. Like there's so much of that. And I'm not a religious person, but I can appreciate what's there, you know? I can appreciate what's there as a book, you know? And David, by the way, is a religious individual, and I respect David heavily. Uh, David saying David committed adultery and other Bible heroes, but God was forgiving and still using it. David knows the Bible more than I do, that's for sure. But no, but totally, no, I agree with you. There's so much there that they pull from, and again, to me, that's what makes Transformers such a great property compared to a lot of other stuff, because it would pull from that stuff. It would pull from that stuff and then make it something that's much more deeper. I mean, I don't even want to get into like Ron Freeman, who, by the way, we're going to be talking about next week. Ron Freeman, he's going through a rough patch right now, guys. So um, I just want to say, stay tuned this week. Ron Freeman, who is the mastermind behind the beloved '86 movie, he's going through some medical trouble right now. We're going to be talking about him later this week because he's going to need your help, guys. We're talking GoFundMe's and stuff, so we'll get into that later this week. I've been talking with his assistant and everything, so stay tuned for that. But Ron Freeman, '86 movie, pulling a lot of that biblical allegory stuff with the chosen one and the devil Unicron and everything like that. There's so much there, so much, making me go on my soapbox with that one. um where are we at here? Isaiah with the super chat. A lot of these figures come out of nowhere. While I love this, where is my images of leaders 86 and swoop, 86 Optimus and swoop? Aren't they Q1? We got a I think we have a Fan First Friday in March. BMAC mentioned. I think that's when because when he did the don't quote me on this. I think it was when he did the update on the HasLab. They mentioned that they're going to be doing some kind of fan stream in March. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see those. So just stay tuned for that. I mean, Swoop is supposed to be Wave 2. So we'll see that stuff for sure. They have to at that point. I mean, geez, we've been talking about it for weeks. So stay tuned for that, my friend. Stay tuned for that. Uh, Mark Morales, what's up, Mark? With the $5 super chat. I wish Power of the Primes was more what we were getting in 2025 instead of more Combiner Wars. Glad the Primes are getting updated figures. You know what? To me, it's like, we say like, oh, Power of the Primes, and we had all these prime masters that were supposed to represent the original 13. But like when you really, I mean, I turn my head and I look at my Power of the Primes display, and all I see is, wow, that was a really good year if you were a Master Force fan. Like if you loved Pretender Shells, you were eating good. Like I'm telling you, I just look over at it right now, and I'm just like, like if you look at my Power of the Primes display, nothing about it says the original 13. Like nothing at all visually. So it's like we're eating good now. Like it's gonna be like if you love the original 13 like I do, now it's good. Because when I look in my Prime Masters, I'm like, no, that's Landmine, that's Metal Hawk, that's Octo Punch. I'm not calling that Solus Prime. I don't look at that Octo. How many people looked at that Octo Punch figure and called it Solus Prime? Everyone calls it Octo Punch, even though the packaging like doesn't emphasize Octo Punch so much as Solus Prime. So they said that they drop announcements every week in March. There you go. That's what it was. That's why I remember he mentioned something. So that's hype. So we'll get something. We'll get something for sure. We'll get something for sure. Kevin PH, hey Proto, when do we get G2 Motormaster come out? I'm sure that's going to happen. I think they're just building up to it. I mean, think about it, all the pieces are coming together. We have breakdown that we have through listings. So Motomaster is coming for sure. I imagine if they're able to work out something with a retailer, he'll be a retailer exclusive, and then they don't have to worry about the cost because then it's just a sold item. But I think it's going to be a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. I just kind of see that in the same way that like, they were able to get away with a Shattered Glass Commander class Jetfire as a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So that's kind of how I see that going down. Anyways, let's make sure we don't have any other super chats. David Cabal, sorry to hear about Ron. Yeah, Ron's going through some cancer treatment right now, guys. I don't want to go too much into it, but I will be doing an individual segment about it and bringing to light his GoFundMe. Unfortunately, Ron is part of the Writers Guild of America, the WGA, and we all know what happened with the writers and the strikes and everything. So he does not have insurance or a proper retirement fund or anything like that. So he's going through a rough patch right now, and I just want to kind of make sure that us fandom can help him out because he's given so much to us. When I met Ron on multiple occasions. I don't want to kind of derail and talk about personal stories, but he was always a really good guy to me. He hooked me up with some ridiculously rare Transformer stuff, and you just want to give back to a guy that let's be real, it's my favorite movie of all time, and what my favorite character of all time. So, and he gave birth to that. So it's something where we're going to talk about that later this week. It is going to come up. Stay tuned for that. I just kind of wanted to just cover that briefly so it doesn't come out of left field. But, our hero is in danger, and I want to make sure that he's healthy. Last but not least that we're going to be covering was just announced today. It was on BrickFan. BrickFan broke the news. BrickFan is a Lego-based news website, but he posted two things. One of them is kind of Transformer related, but the big one was a listing for a Legos Icon 10338. That's the Lego code for a Transformers Bumblebee. 950 pieces, $89.99, planned to ship out in July 1st of 2024, and it is a Joe Kide design. It got cut off there because of the photo. The reason why I'm showing the Volkswagen Beetle is because, people are going, well, which Bumblebee is it going to be? The simplicity of how these Lego transformations have to be. I feel that the G1 Bumblebee could easily be done as a simple Lego transformation, much like the Optimus. And Lego has a great relationship with Volkswagen. Like that Volkswagen I'm showing right there, that was part of their Creator series, was a licensed Volkswagen Beetle Lego product. So it's something where they already kind of have the license. They've done stuff in the past. And I feel that we're going to get a G1 Bumblebee through this as a Joe Kide design. And Joe Kide was a big dude in the Transformer world. He went on to Lego and did Minecraft, and he worked on the Optimus one, which is a fantastic one. And the Bumblebee is the next logical direction outside of Soundwave. I feel Soundwave's the only other one they could have done. That's like simple, iconic, and they could pull it off. The reason why I have the Gundam here is because also on the other side of things, because Gundam is kind of the grandfather of Transformers, I feel we don't have Battle Convoy, aka Optimus Prime, if we don't have the RX-78. And the RX-78 was also achieved their 10,000 supporters on Lego Ideas, so maybe we might get that too. That's pretty hype. Big robot love on the Lego side. Can't go wrong with that. Um, but yeah, awesome stuff. Again, Lego Bumblebee. Stay tuned for that. And that's more or less it for the news. An hour of news, guys. A lot of talking about the news. We still got more to cover. And Protoman is still a little under the weather. So just trying to survive here. Mm. I'm like hopped up on Fisherman Friends. They've been like helping me with my nose. But Abraham with the $2 super chat. How you doing, Abraham? Long time no see. Proto, could Primus be a Titan for the Prime line? I hope so. I really, really. I looked over at my Primus right there. I really hope so. I really do. I think it just makes sense. Like, think about it, right? You know, you have all these Prime characters. Who's going to be the commander? Probably a combiner element. Again, that's where the Silverbolt comes in. But the Titan has to be Primus. It has to be. Who else could it be? I mean, it would be silly if it wasn't. You know, it would be silly if it wasn't. But I mean, I hope it is. I love Primus. I have one there, one there. I got one there. I have the 2010 version. I love the god of the Transformers. He's so cool. I have the lucky draw is all the way back there somewhere, the gold chrome one. You know, love it, love it, love it, love it. They should have done a gold repaint of Commander Hot Rod. Excuse me, Commander Rodimus in the Primus. They should have done that too. Would have been cool. But he didn't sell very well, unfortunately. So I think they didn't want to play with fire there. But so let's do some thank you for the super chat, Abraham. So let's do some sponsor stuff. I'm going to show you the cool stuff that I got this weekend from my convention that I ran. Um, this and that, pretty cool stuff. Some people might dig it. And then we'll just open it up to super chats for the other hour or so that we have left. If you have not watched Aaron Archer's segment, by the way, too, he did a segment yesterday. He did a really good one talking about Unicron and Primus and, that whole biblical stuff, too. So he did a really good segment also. A lot less cat in it, though. So if you're expecting more cat stuff from Jiro, his crazy Siamese, I apologize. That will not happen. But yeah, T-Formers 2002, a Titan Primus would work with Unicron. Yeah, and I think that they could look the Titan like the excuse me the HasLab Unicron. A lot of its value came from like in terms of its beefiness came from the rings and having like the layers and pieces. They could maybe figure something out. I call it the lockdown syndrome, which is like if you look at animated lockdown was a deluxe class toy, but when you transform him, he's almost as tall as some of the leader classes of today. If you do a lockdown syndrome on a Primus, you could probably pull off something that's face to face with a HasLab Unicron. And if they pull that off, if Evan or Mark or any of the other dudes at Hasbro, Yuki-san, if they pull that stuff off, yo man, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be crazy. So let's do some sponsor stuff, and then we'll get into what Proto got this week. And first, we're gonna talk about Symbiot Studios. We already talked about. There's a pin there. Good old Symbiot Studios. The plush, the pins, and the t-shirts. Next week, we have a big announcement. Stay tuned for that. We got some big stuff coming next week. It's on the way in the mail. Let's put it that way. It's going to be shown physically in person, and then we'll have some great stuff. And of course, all the others. Again, the Ultra Magnus that we got coming. We got the Winter Collection that's out right now, and all the others. Again, Wave 8 at the bottom. A lot of big reveals coming. Stay tuned for that. Great stuff. I know. Get your wallets warm, even though it's getting kind of warm already here. But good stuff. Good stuff coming from Symbiot Studios. And of course, all the other stuff. Get the stuff while it's still on sale because we're going to get the new assortment of everything for 2024. If you have not got the GI Joe stuff, get that Cobra Commander. Get that Snake Eyes. I love that Snake Eyes set. The little timber. Oh, it's the best. It's the best. But yeah, and the Toy Armada. I am currently working on the next episode, the big long form. I just got sick and it kind of just messed me up between doing my con, being busy on Monday after the con, just doing the breakdown and everything, and then getting sick halfway through the week and going like, "Oh my God, I can't even sit in this room and work on it." But we do have another segment coming. It's a absolutely banger of a segment. People have been requesting it for a while, so that is going to be coming very soon. So stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, you got the Tidal Wave segment to enjoy here, as well as some new stuff that Aaron has been putting out on the live tab. So go to Aaron's Toy Armada channel, go on the live tab. He has some good. The original 13 one is 2 hours, which is fantastic. The Primus one with Unicron is 1 hour, so that's 3 hours of content. Go enjoy that. Great stuff. If you want to support Aaron more, he's got his delicious book here, The Art of Transforming Robots, Volume 2, Color Edition. A new book is in the works. Stay tuned for that. This one will be retired soon, so pick it up while you can, because when it's gone, and then people are going to be scalping it on eBay. And Aaron's, for him to have to go back to the printers and do another run of these is going to be a bit of a headache for guys. So get this book while you can, guys. 36 pages of art from that era, original art from Aaron, from the guy who created that stuff. Go get it. Pay the extra $15 and get the custom sketch so it's for you, it's made for you. Great stuff. But again, when this one's retired and his next book he's working on, and I've already seen some of it and it's going to be pretty hype. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, get this book while you can. That way you'll have that you got to get ready for volume 3 when that comes. So pretty good stuff. And of course, Aaron's got some new surprises for you guys. So we got a whole bunch of new. This is the new wave of Posca paintings on instructions. Let me tell you something. That Junko with Sunstreaker, I'm tempted. I'm very tempted by that one. That one's hot as hell. That one's really good. That's from the Binaltech Asterix line, which was kind of the prototype to what would be Kissplay later. And that one's pretty awesome. Same thing, Skyboom Shield, Requiem Blaster, the Ramjet that's getting a reissue soon, that Shockwave, like all of these are, and of course even the Gilthor, you know, or Gilder, whatever what do they call his English name? Because there's Gunther, Gusha, and Gilther in Car Robots. I don't know what they called him here. I think they called him like Night Scream or something. I think it was. Was it Night Scream? I think it was Night Scream. They were probably keeping a trademark there. But so all of those great stuff. Great stuff. There's a whole bunch more. Like I'm just showing 6 here. These are the latest 6 that he did, but there's a whole bunch more. Go check it out on archermonster.com/shop. Delicious original art that you could frame and put on your wall, much like I did. We got a gold super chat. I am stuffed. I apologize. We got a gold super chat from Kevin PH. And Kevin PH with the gold super chat wants to know, I think none of the 13 should have Prime in their names at all, or all of them have it for consistency. Plus, they would be more identifiable if there weren't 2 bearded old men and 2 pranksters and 2 evil dudes. Well, number one, I agree with you. The consistency with the Prime thing, I think it should be the case. Like it should be Alpha Trion Prime, and then Alpha Trion just drops it later because of history. I do agree with that. 2 bearded guys. Well, I mean, I think 2 guys should be allowed to have beards. I think that's just kind of a thing. If you, long as you make them look different enough, Alchemists and Alpha Trion, they could exist in the same way that you could have, Scourge and Alpha Trion exist as characters. So I'm cool with that. Um, Two pranksters. Well, Megatronus is the fallen angel, and you know, the deceiver is Liege Maximo, which is I compare it to Loki visually, but if you really read like the Marvel books, like Loki is less like that. It's really more like Mephisto getting in the ear of Thanos. Mephisto would, talk to Thanos and try to manipulate him and stuff. So it's kind of more like that. It's kind of like more, Liege Maximo whispering in Megatronus's ear, like, they don't trust you, like they don't trust you with the Requiem blaster, like, and just creating that deceit. So that's kind of how I say. And two evil dudes. Again, it's the 13 is supposed to represent each part of Cybertronian population. And considering how a large part of the population became Decepticons, you can't say 1/13 became Decepticons. You got to have at least 2/13 or 3/13 or 4/13, because, in my opinion, when you talk about going evil, you got Megatronus, which is a betrayer. You got Liege Maximo, and then you can maybe say, oh, maybe Amalgamus kind of fell to the dark side a little bit. So there's layers to that, and then because you have the deception aspect of Liege Maximo, that could then lead to that extra element of bringing over Autobots to the bad guy side, you know, which is in the case of a certain character I created. He was an Autobot, became a Decepticon. Usually, sometimes it's the other way around. So that's kind of my take. Thank you for the gold super chat, my friend. We'll talk about stuff I got in a moment. Sarah with the gold super chat with 100 Mexican pesos. Can you talk with Hasbro people and tell them not? I do not want any chrome when they make the transmetals. I don't like it when they flake. I'm perfectly happy when they've done with the transmetal too. Well, number one, chrome is extremely unhealthy for the factory. So I'll tell you right now, that's why you don't really see chrome anymore. It has nothing to do with Hasbro wanting to do it or not. It's just for public health and safety reasons. They found out recently that chrome, unless it's done in a very vacuumed environment in minimal ways, is ridiculously poisonous and not good for nobody. So you don't really see it that often. And when it is used, it's used in like a very limited capacity. Of course, I have to have a hot rod on the standby. So like a reissue hot rod, it's gonna have a little bit of a chrome engine, but massive amounts of chrome, no, not so much. And I mean, transmetals having flaky chrome, and of course going into beast machines that had it even worse with like ultra jetstorm. um that was just stupid, them, like, and it's, I don't want to insult the guys, but like some of the transmetals, the chrome was sealed with a clear coat. Some of the transmetals, they weren't sealed with a clear coat. So for every transmetal cheetor that you could mess with that toy 1,000 times and the chrome doesn't flake, and then you could barely see him, but like Rat Trap, transmetal Rat Trap, and he just goes bald. you know he just goes bald in terms of his chrome. And worst of them all is Ultra Jetstorm. There is Ultra Jetstorms, mint in box, never opened. You could probably find them on eBay right now, and the chrome is falling off in the box because they didn't clear coat it. So that was just a stupid design choice. Maybe because, again, at the time the chrome goes on, it's fine. 2-3 years pass, oxygen gets under that chrome, and I've worked on cars with chrome bumpers and everything. It's in the elements. Oxygen, cold, hot, chrome flakes. Just happens. Um, Kevin is referring to Nexus and Amalgamus. I must have missed something in terms of pranksters. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Amalgamus was a bit of a prankster too. Nexus, there's different interpretations with that one, because there's the fun publication one, and then there's the Covenant of Primus, and the way that I see it is because the Covenant of Primus is really the aligned continuity version. You could take elements of that, but when you're doing its own continuity, you could kind of like also reestablish some of those characters. But I love the ideas of like the romantic relationship, the close relationship between Megatronus and Solus, the fact that there's, the Loki character in his ear, the fact that there's that leadership element of Prima, but there's also an element of arrogance that leads to his downfall in a lot of ways. And again, how I would write it, the Arisen, which then comes in afterwards. Um, where we at? Where we at? I want to make sure I'm not missing nothing, guys. I apologize if I miss anything. Uh, my company, chrome plates, car trims. There you go. And yeah, it sucks. Glad I don't work at the plant anymore. I'm all overpaid now. Bro, let me tell you, at BMW, um, before I started working there, the paint shop was next to the mechanic shop. And then all of the BMW mechanics who are part of a union were just like, nope, push those guys away. And they literally built a separate building just for the paint shop guys because they knew. Imagine you're working with fumes and everything all day, and even they knew that paint stuff, poison, poison. Aaron has talked about it too in the toy industry all the time. These guys working with paint and chemicals and stuff and not knowing the long-term repercussions of it. You don't have to hear it from me, who's worked with paint and in cars in different ways. I mean, I do like paint jobs for my friends privately. They scratch the side of their car and stuff. Shout out to Julian. Shout out to Paul Stragan fixing his company vehicle. Um, but it's just something where um, it's something where they don't want to do chrome anymore. It's so bad for your health, and you don't want to kill your factory workers. That's just not nice. Um, yeah, there's another one. T-Formers too. That Onyx isn't really a nice guy in certain continuities. Yeah, Onyx is another one too. The beast element, kind of wild, but he could be more of like, you have crazy good guy, crazy bad guy, and he's like in the middle. Because when you look at the Dinobots, the beast element, it's like he's wild, but he's still an Autobot. But some could be wild and still Decepticons. So there could be that middle ground there. And that's also where like Quintessons kind of went over the rails too. So there's so much there. There's so much that you could pull from. So good. So good. If you have half a brain in writing, there's so much that could be written there. That's why it kills me sometimes when they hire like, and I don't want to throw shade at anyone specific. I'm not going to say names, but sometimes they've hired some people as writers and it is some phoned in, really garbage stuff. Let me tell you, that's all I'm going to say. Some stuff that was just, I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's unfortunately with this industry, it's not how good you are, it's just who you know. I mean, the opportunities that I got for writing was because I knew those people. If my writing was good or bad, that's up to you to judge me. But my writing was because of opportunity, less because of my talents. Even you might argue, oh, Protoman, you have knowledge, that's talent. Regardless of that, let's put that aside. How I got the opportunities was because of who I knew. And that's the sad truth of the business. It's a sad, sad truth. The nepotism of the business. T-Formers 2002. I bought Aaron Archer's Dark of the Moon Megatron art this morning. Nice. That's my favorite movie Megatron ever. I love that Megatron. I love Dark of the Moon Megatron. Maybe because it's the cloak and everything, which is just badass. Reminds me of like Shin Getter with his pilot. So some good stuff. So let's talk about while some more super chats come in, some stuff that we got this week. So the past weekend was High Score Con, one of the conventions that I run here in Montreal. I run a few conventions locally here, but High Score Con's my big video game one. So we picked up a few things here and there, First, what the wife picked up, she picked up. She loves her Lego games. She loves them, and she, oddly enough, never got the second Indiana Jones one. She's actually playing it right now upstairs. She's like, where's the 3DS? We need the 3DS. Picked it up for $10, $10 Canadian, which is like $7 American. So nice score with that. She's playing her indie right now. She's 100%ed like almost all the Lego games. She absolutely loves them. She loves them more on a handheld. So she's so happy that like the Switch now could do handheld mode because like when they did like the big budget Lego games and they were all on consoles, like she played the Marvel one. She was just like, I don't like playing on a big screen. She likes having the tiny one. Black Getter. Yeah, Ninjatron knows what's up. Ninjatron. I would sing the theme song, but then I just, anyways, break everyone's ears. So what else did I get? So I had a guy at the show, shout out Lance. He had a whole box of these filled with stickers, right? And all the stickers were 1989 Super Mario stickers, like nice chromy ones. Let me just show you just a handful of them. Um, this one obviously that's Anyone remember Arkanoid back in the day? Let me try to show it combined. So Arkanoid Mario. Remember Arkanoid? What else we got? We got Zelda's on like Legend of Zelda, like Link, and just a whole bunch of really cool Chrome stickers. A whole bunch of them Super Mario ones. They have the frog suit, and then they had Mario 2 stuff there, which I always say look for the red overalls. So I was going through it, and then I was like, "How much you want for these?" He's like 25 cents each, and then I was like, I was going through. I'm like, "How much you want for the box?" And so I just bought the whole box of them. And then obviously I've consolidated a full set for myself, and then there's a whole bunch of doubles which I'm just going to sell, and I'll probably get the money back for the box. I paid $30 for the box. Might sound like a lot, but for 1989 stickers of Super Mario and Zelda, hook up a brother. My favorite video game, one of my favorite video games of all time, Super Mario 2. So love it. Love it. That was a hype one. They had some Magic the Gathering guys selling stuff there, so I bought more Alpha Ice Age Jester's caps. If anyone has Jester's caps of Ice Age, which is that logo there, if you have an Ice Age Jester's cap, contact me. I will gladly take it off your hand. I collect them. I hoard them. I have a whole book of them. So Jester's cap is my go-to for Magic the Gathering. They had two of them, so I bought two. And then just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything else. Okay. And then my pops came by to the show, and my pops always does all the conventions and stuff like that. And he checks out stuff, and he found on his own separately from me at another, I think it was like a flea market or something. He found Smash Change Optimus Prime. I would have never picked this up because I think this thing was like $33 or whatever full MSRP. But hey, Smash Change Optimus Prime. Yeah, which by the way, I figured out how this thing works, and it is so silly. Like you have to, I can't show it because I have to bang the table and everything. But you have to like hit the top, and then you got to bang the feet, and then it transforms. I mean, it's cool. It's got that Rise of the Beast look to it. It's gonna go in the display. Pretty hype. I mean, he probably paid absolutely nothing for it. My father never pays full price for anything. He probably got this for $1, knowing him. But so yeah, Smash Change Optimus Prime, courtesy of Mr. Jacques of or his screen name, Jumping Jacques Flash, my father, who's the toy man himself. So pretty hype. He got some Power Ranger stuff too, but it's way too big to kind of show that. Got little things here and there. And the last thing, and I'm not going to eat it on camera because I'm sick, but uh, the lovely lady in the house picked these up. The Space Dunk Oreos with cosmic cream. Good Lord. I don't even want to know. Supposedly it has like that popping candy is inside it or something. So it's sealed. I'm not even opening this to eat right now. I am sick, so I'm not going to be putting that garbage in my body. But she picked this up. Maybe next week if I'm feeling better, I'll try one live on the stream and I'll see if it's like if it pops. But so these are out right now, limited edition Space Dunk Oreos. As someone who likes to eat healthy, but a certain someone who lives in this house, I don't know, she ruins that every time. There's more junk food in this house, but yeah. Um, Kevin PH with the super chat, is Nexus Prime one guy that's divided himself into five? If yes, to the latter, then wouldn't he be the 17th Prime? Well, the whole thing of him being multiples in one was when he separated. I mean, when he was originally the combiner, and I think that he was probably more like when it was imagined back then, especially when the original 13 was first conceived. Uh, at the time, we had power core combiners, and that was always something where it was a sentient center and then drones, you know, that combined. And I'm pretty sure Aaron at the time was probably thinking more power core combiner. Obviously, the toy itself, because of what was available at the time, was based off of an Energon mold and mixing and matching. So you do have a point, but I feel there's more of that power core combiner DNA in it, where it's one dude that is the origin of combiners, the origin of combining elements, like something like Energon Optimus Prime or Grand Convoy, as he's called, the Superlink. Those are drones that attach to him, and they're not sentient beings, but the combiner heritage comes from that. You know. But it is a good point. It is a good point. But at the time when Aaron was planning all this stuff, I mean, power core combiners, you could barely see them. That's my whole power core combiner display over there with Spastic. the name that shall not be named. Um, like that's kind of what combiners were at the time, unfortunately. Things changed. Power core combiners came out a few years later during the John Warden era, but back then that was probably as good as you got. Outside of the Energon repaints. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? They're great. Are they? Someone tried the wow, those are some crazy Oreos. Oh, they are. Anytime there's special edition Oreos, she gets them. She always gets them. And it will be in the we'll be in the grocery store. And then she'll see them and she'll be like, and I'll be like, no, we don't need that. She'll be like, oh. She wants to take it. It's like, okay, fine. I'll be like, I'll show it on the podcast. People will appreciate it. Um, Michael Koo, you can feel the pop rocks in your mouth. That's what I figured. It's probably like pop rocks, right? Because they say here popping candy. Oh, it's gonna glare like crazy. Popping candy. So it's probably pop rocks. Look at this thing. This is madness. Double cream. Good lord. Good lord. America, you're killing me. America, you're killing me. That's why I love going to every time I go to Walmart in the States, people think I'm crazy. Like, why do you care about Walmart in the States? I'm like, because it's a whole other animal, my friend. It's a whole other animal than the Walmarts here. Um, Billy B, I so hope we don't use red clear plastic on Nexus. Oh God, Billy, I know exactly. Billy, I bought and sold 3 different Nexus Primes throughout the years because of working with FunPub, and all 3 of them, even my personal one, is broken. That's how bad it is. I totally feel you. I hope they do something that conveys clearness but doesn't do a clear plastic. I would love it if they do those colors though, because it's really cool colors. I like the colors of Nexus, but let's not do clear plastic. Have we learned nothing throughout the years? What's it, animated stealth lockdown? People broken, Oh, we got a Japanese one, Baku Up, with the 1,000 yen gold super chat. How you doing, Baku Up? I assume you're from Japan with the yen currency. Of the 3 of the 13, Amalgamous seems to be the one with the least fiction. I will agree with that. Also with the least amount of art representation too. He just has he just has his one piece, if I remember. A lot of the other ones, at least, yeah. See, you have this one, this piece of art, and then anything else that involved, like you'll have here, like here's Solus with the forge. Like they'll do like, and that's another piece of art. They'll always at least draw some other elements. I don't want to spoil too much. See, like here's Onyx with his different masks. So that's another piece of art. There's a few Onyx pieces, you know. That's his trisectal mask. Here's another one with Onyx. So like there's, you're probably right. This is Onyx. See here you have Onyx, and then you got Megatronus, you got Prima, you got Loki being Loki over there, aka Liege Maximo. Like, I know this book is ridiculously expensive now in the secondary market, but if you could get it, what a great book! What a great book! Fantastic. They should reissue it. They should reissue it though. I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of warped a little bit. Oh no, is it not gonna fit in the Autobot display? I do not know. But yeah, he had the least amount of representation. I do agree when you mention it. What will you write for the first Transformer if you had any say? Not sure if you talked about him yet. Just got on stream. If you're talking about Prima, um, I always don't like to talk too much about what I would do. I mean, I obviously I go on big rants and everything, but it's just because I feel that those opportunities will be presented to me one day. I'll get an opportunity to pen or write something, and then I want to surprise you guys. But I always had my own vision of like I keep a Prima on my desk, you know. I always do. Um, Along with Kami from Dragon Ball. Got to have the gods. Um, but it's just it's something where Prima is a very interesting. Prima is a very X-Men Cyclops story, especially like Cyclops, circa like the all new, all different before he went to X Factor. If you know what I'm talking about, you know, there's certain elements that could be written with those characters that you could pull from really good storytelling, especially from that Marvel era where there was just the greatest writers of all time there, all of them. So for sure, and not sure if I don't. I'm telling you, Baku, go to the beginning of the stream. I I go on quite a rant. So when we do the replays of this, usually when we end the stream, like for half an hour, the replay is uploading, so it's not live right away. But then when it goes live again, the replay, go to the beginning. We talk about the original 13 quite a bit. And if you like that, Aaron Archer did a great original 13 segment too on his channel. So go check that out. But thank you for the 1,000 yen. Beautiful 1,000 yen from the most beautiful place in the world, that is Japan. Michael Koo with the $5 super chat. For the next few years, are we going to inundate the power of the Prime trademark refreshes? Well, there you go. And why do you think that's happening, Michael? You're a student of the game. You're a student of the Protoman game. That's exactly what's going on. That's 100%. They're like, uh-oh, trademark's going up. Let's get that done, and then we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do jack for 4 to 5 years. So I mean, the trick is you register it on year one, you do it right away on year one. 4 years pass, trademark expires, you refresh the trademark, and then if you want to really be crazy, don't do anything for 3 years. And that way you don't have anything of that character for 7 years, so you don't feel like you're repeating anything. But what happens a lot of times is they don't want to do that, wait 3 years and do it on the fourth, because what if they mess up or a product is delayed or something gets canceled and then they screw up and now they don't have the time to produce and create a product and put it out and then they're in trouble. So that's why usually it's in the 4 year gaps instead of like because they could stretch it to seven and do it on year four, but they don't usually don't. So that's why there's no surprise there. More of those trademarks coming, and look, that's why it's like, oh, Quintus Prime, probably going to see him as a Allspark Earthspark toy. Vector Prime, we're going to see him in United. So they're all going to show up somewhere at some point. Um, where are we at? Where are we at? But thank you for the super chat yet again, my friend Michael Koo. Kevin PH. Oh wait, hold on. Let's just see what T Formers wants here. Speaking of Power Core and Clear Plastic, the Minicon from last year's line aren't surviving too well. Power Core from last year. Wait. Speaking of Power Core and other in Clear Plastic, the Minicons from last line aren't surviving. Which ones are you referring to? Which ones? T Formers. What do you mean exactly? Like the last mini cons from Power Core? Like I'm confused there. Are you talking about the mini cons from RID 2015? Like which ones are you referring to? Because I'm not counting the Micromasters from Siege. Uh, Kevin PH with the $5 super chat. Will the new Silverbolt be a commander, a leader, or voyager? I think it's gonna be a commander. Stay tuned for that, Kevin PH. I'm gonna do an individual segment about our aerial bots. I have a lot to talk about that from a design standpoint that people are missing. I'm seeing these conversations and I'm just going like, you guys are missing the point. Guys are missing the point. Ron Diaz with the $5 super chat. For the next line, they should release a leader or commander class Unicron, or have it be the type of avatar like the TF Prime. Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at historically some Unicron toys, it's like, hey, we got to do a Unicron, but we don't want to have to do a big one. Cybertron Unicron. Barely see him. Oh god, he's right there. You see that yellow blotch there? That was the tank Unicron. Bada boom. And then of course, obviously there was you could barely see right there. There he is, that yellow blotch there. That's the Transformers Prime one. There was two versions. I have the chrome one and the non-chrome one. Obviously that didn't get released here in America, but in Japan it did. So they did a Tiny Titan. We have a Tiny Titan Unicron. We have the Robot Heroes Unicron. They found ways that, oh, hey, we're not going to do a Unicron, but we need to keep the trademark alive. And then sometimes they'll just straight up repackage or put out their Unicron's Armada toy and just go, hey, put that out, make that a Toys R Us exclusive at the time. So there's a there's a lot there. There's a lot. There's a lot of easy ways out if they need to not do a big Unicron toy. And I'm totally cool with that. It's fun, like you said, to do those smaller avatar elements. You could have like a tank Unicron that's causing trouble. And not to mention, like, Unicron has possessed people in the past. In the Marvel UK books, the essence of Unicron would go into people. So there's not, and actually it also happened in Beast Wars Second. I don't want to spoil with that because a lot of people haven't seen that series. But excuse me, Beast Wars Neo had happened. So you could have that too, where you possess people, and then you possess people, and those characters could then be deluxe class figures, and they could be labeled as a Unicron toy. There was a Megatron Unicron, which was the Galvatron, but from Transformers Prime, that was they called it a Commander class, but they're small little Cyberverse figures, and it's called Cyberverse, but it's not the Cyberverse you think. I hate it when they do that. Transformers Prime, Cyberverse, Commander class figure. All of those things confuse everybody because now we have another line called Prime. Commander class is a price point elsewhere. Cyberverse was another line. Stop repeating the names. I know you want to keep trademarks, but stop that. Stop that. It's confusing the people. Uh, Lizard Sphere X Amalgamus might have been too ambiguous an idea for TF characters. Complexity may be why he's a one piece of art. Yeah, probably he's also annoying to draw. I mean, who did the art for Amalgamus? We'll give a shout out to the amazing artist of this book. Let's see. I hope they credit them. I really do, because we're getting forwards from Alpha Trion. That's not a good sign. I think it was Ken Christensen did it, if I remember correctly. Oh, here we go. So it's Ken Christensen, Casey Collar, who I always feel is one of the greatest artists, Livio, and Emiliano. Okay. It's an all-star list right there. Casey Collar, I feel, is like top 5 Transformer artists of all time, if not top 3. So I don't know who drew who, but I guess maybe Emilio or any of the others, or Ken was probably like, oh, I don't have to draw this guy over and over. Too much of a headache. Sarah in Mexico until 2000, all taxis were Beetles. Oh, that's cool. Not a lot of space though, eh? So that's where the Mexican love for bumblebees or original. And were they yellow beetles, like taxi cabs, like in New York? So that would have added an extra element. Um, I literally saw a woman fighting with a kid to be in the back of when the movie came out. Cute, very cute, cute in the sense that cute because of the movie, not cute because people were fighting over it. VCXZ, I'm surprised IDW Fortune Maximus was never done as a cheaper, smaller refresh. Well, not only that, like even even Marvel Fort Max in some interpretations was tiny. So like why wasn't that Fort Max done? You know? Why not just the smaller head? You know? Have fun with that. The smaller like Warden Fortress Maximus, like you said, the IDW idea. Um, totally could have been done that. That was a TFCon exclusive one year. We did. I wrote the comic for that. I don't know if it's nearby. Which was we took the Voyager scale. Um, God, which figure was that? We took the Voyager scale Onslaught from Generations at the time, new head sculpt, combiner with head and everything that transforms, and made it Warden Fortress Maximus, and wrote this whole origin story, like a prequel story to the Headmasters anime. And I did that with Alex Milne and Josh Perez. That was a fantastic book. That was one of my favorite gigs I did with them. Love that story. It's where Toxin was born, who became a breakout success. Eyes on Ace, how long before we have an update of Octone Octane trademark? Very soon, actually. I'd have to say next year. Have to double check that, but I think next year. But then they refresh it, but then that's if they want to then do it right away, which usually they do historically, but they could also wait 3 years. Michael Koo with the $5 super chat. After Hasbro goes to war for Cybertron trademark refreshes, is Hasbro going to make Evan and Mark switch to a different Hasbro IP? I doubt that. They don't. The shakeups that happen are usually due to a lot of different things. Like, you have like the Aaron Archer era. Like before that, you had the Kenner era of the Beast Wars, which was, oh God, I forget the name. Oh my God, he invented the maximal term because of his car, the Maxima. Oh my God, it's with a V. It's gonna bother me. Anyways, Italian guy. He was part of that era, the Beast Wars to the beginning of Aaron's era when they all went from Cincinnati to Rhode Island, and Kenner and Hasbro became one. Aaron took over in 2001. Aaron Archer era between 2001 and 2015. Pretty good stint, if you ask me. Almost 15 years. And then the Aaron Archer era ended in 2016. That's a John Warden era. Only 4 years, 2016, 2020. That's the end of John Warden. And then began the Mark and Evan era, which we still have to this day. Who knows? Mark and Evan might be here for 15 years, like Aaron was. So it really has to do with what they want to do and if they want to shake it up. Or if they feel like, you have to understand, like, Mark has been with the Transformer brand in the behind the scenes for years. He was painting prototypes of Transformer Prime toys back in like 2011. So, or 2010 even. So it's something where, it's those guys have been with the Transformers brand, and they'll probably stay with the Transformers brand for a long time. But I can't promise that, but that's just what it feels like. T-Formers 2002, I had a typo. You mentioned both Power Core combiners and clear plastic. Mini cons from Power Core combiner aren't surviving too well due to the clear plastic. Really? Really? See, all those guys are right here. You can see them all here, and then you can barely see because now we get cut off with the titaniums, but the microphone's in the way a little bit, but it's kind of hard to see them. And it goes deep, my shelving too. That's every Power Core combiner, including the individual releases. I'm surprised. I do agree. The blue jet one, whatever that one was called, that one actually has like blue plastic syndrome. Like it's actually fragile. That one, the blue jet, it breaks very easily. But I haven't encountered anything else like that recently. But I haven't messed with them in a while. So now you're making me worried to mess with them. Gonna break one of them. Um, but yeah, Kevin PH, have you seen the Death Battle on YouTube? They made 3 episodes for Transformers. The latest one is Galactus versus Unicron. I did, and I completely agree with Unicron losing. Yeah, I mean, Unicron is one of these characters that was defeated by a bomb. A MacGuffin. He was defeated by knowledge. Like the Matrix was made to look like a bomb, where Galactus is just he's on a different level, unfortunately. He's on a different level completely that you can't compare. And I'd hate to say that as a hardcore Transformer fan, but they're compared because of their similarities, planet eaters, horns. They both have like a fear of a MacGuffin. He has the ultimate nullifier with Galactus, the Matrix of Leadership with uh with Unicron. There's a lot of similarities, but there's still two different power levels of characters. It's like people compare the Death Star with Galactus or Unicron, but the Death Star wouldn't stand a chance against either of those two. They just move out of range, and the Death Star has to slowly move its laser in order to get into. And then he goes around again. So to me, like, it's fun to have those comparisons, but certain characters are just way too OP in comparison, unfortunately. Um, Mark is in the special features painting a Grimlock toy in the Age of Extinction movie. Yeah, Mark. I forget where it was. There was a interview where Mark was painting uh, Predacon Rising, which was like the later half of Transformers Prime stuff. He was painting Predaking, like hand painting it, getting ready to use it for a photo shoot that was going to be used for the stock images to advertise the toy. And like you see like a young, fresh-faced Mark, and this was like 2010, 2011 when it was like the early production of it, because they make these toys like a year or two in advance before we see anything publicly. And yeah, like man, oh man, Mark's been with the company for a while too. So that's why I'm not too worried about that. Transformers is such a specialized kind of thing that the guys who are really good from the design standpoint, they're usually kept there because they're someone that you can't replace with a guy from the GI Joe brand or a guy from, like, let's say, the My Little Pony brand. You can't put those people in there. They don't see it in the same 3D way. So I mean, look what happened when they did like the Star Wars Transformers or the Marvel Transformers. Those were the in-house guys of those brands trying to do transforming robots. And let's be fair, most of those were misses, not hits. There were some good ones, but most of them weren't. You know, for every like the Captain America was good, but then the Spider-Man was like terribly engineered. So Michael Koo with the $5 super chat for the Titans Return Fortress Maximus reissue. We have a long-term issues with the clear plastic parts. Really? Why am I hearing about all of this now? Because like I literally just sold a Fort Max recently for a friend because the reissue is coming out. So he's like, "Uh-oh, I got to get my money while I can." So I sold it for him. I took the photography for him. I didn't encounter any issues. This has to be a storage thing. I'm telling you, like a lot of times brittleness with toys too and plastics, it has to do with storage. If you guys are storing your toys in environments that go extreme heat and then extreme cold, that's expansion and contraction on a molecular level. You're making the plastic brittle. You know, it's like the thing where you could freeze a plastic plate in your freezer, and if you slam it on the ground, it shatters to pieces. You know, where if you left it, in room temperature, you could drop it 100 times and it won't break. So I think that something's going on there that we're not having a discussion about. Too many times they tell me that, oh, my Tigatron is completely yellowed. And it's like, maybe because I'm in a climate controlled environment and it's cold Canadian stuff, but I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you, sometimes I feel, and I don't want to sound like a dick, but sometimes I feel it's bad environment. If you're gonna have your collection and you value your collection, don't let it get hot, man. And I get it. Some people live in Florida and it's brutal. I get it. But if you want to protect it, don't let it get hot. Ron Diaz with the upcoming aerial bots. Hasbro should use molds from the Jet characters, Predators, Scorchers. I want to use Constructicon guys from G2. Well, again, for sure, those aerial bots are going to be turned into all of those. They're not going to let the look at Combiner Wars. Look what they did with all those jets. They repaint. Look what they did with all those Combiner Wars jets. So you're going to see everything in the rainbow with those guys. We're going to see Seeker jets from them. Watch. We'll get like Deluxe Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp. That was an idea of mine a while back. And G2 Constructicons for sure. Shattered glass colors, which are the medical colors. You know, easy, easy. Then they'll do, cell shaded gamer edition devastation colors. Again, so easy. So easy. And they'll do that in like 5 years to refresh it. So people who got it, if they missed out, they'll get a chance again. VCX with the $2 super chat. Any hope for the rumored Mask series? I hope so. Funny, actually, I was just talking about Mask with a friend today. Um, I really hope so. That third party one that came out, I was so close to buying it just because I want a new Thunderhawk because Mask was a big part of my childhood. And a nice present that I got from my grandmother. Literally, this is my memory of it. I'm, and this shows how old I am. Mask came out in '85. I was 4 years old, and my grandmother comes in, and she's like, "If you eat this bowl of cereal of Cheerios, I'll buy you a present." And I was like, "Really? Okay." And I eat cereal anyways. And then she pulled it out of nowhere, and it was the Thunderhawk. And I have a very vivid memory of that day in my Cote house back in the day when we were poor. But I love the Thunderhawk, and I'd love to get an update of it. Matt Tracker, man, Tracker's gonna lead the mission. But it's a tough brand to update. Aaron talked about merge it with Transformers, Transformation Cog, Ratchet. Boulder Hill is the Autobot base from Prime. Great ideas that should have probably happened to kind of really give it a chance, but it's a tough world we live in with cartoons. It's something where people don't discover cartoons by accident anymore by just flipping through channels. Now it's a Netflix show that you have to go out of your way to watch. And if Netflix doesn't promote it on the front page or on your drop page, on your home page, you might not even know it exists. So if they do something with Paramount, like Netflix is going to have the Paramount Mask series, they're going to have to hope that Paramount puts that right on the drop page. Hey, man, boom, boom. But how many people have Paramount as opposed to Netflix? You're going to want to have it on Netflix, and then make sure you don't screw up like Rescue Bots and have it on Netflix, but don't have the toys in stores. So, business, business, my friends, business. Hopefully, the premium Tigatron won't yellow. That toy is amazing. So, I really hope it doesn't yellow either, considering how much paint they put on it. Just all the fumes alone would make it yellow. Sarah, I live in the jungle in the net and the neck of my original G2 Megatron is sticky. Well, that's rubber. That's a whole other thing I'll explain. My Transmo when Megatron got brown plastic syndrome. I don't know about that, my brother or sister. I don't know, Sarah. Um, if you mess with that Megatron, those shoulders are gonna break here. Like that part of the transformation, that's gonna break. That's a 100% breakage thing, because that's GPS. That has to do with oxygen. That has nothing to do with heat. That has to do with just air getting in there and then making it brittle. Um, as for the stickiness, and that's happened with me. So back in the day, you can barely see them. I used to have my Transformer collection and everything when I lived with my parents was in the basement, and the door that left my room and went into the boiler room, the figure that was literally right next to that door was Landmine, the Pretender shell. When I moved here and I packed up everything, I touched that landmine figure and it was all like you said, sticky, because what happens is the vinyl or rubber of the plastisol, it excretes and it kind of goes out, which makes it soft. And that's what makes the stickiness. And there's very little you can do, unfortunately. That's what we call like pony cancer with like, let's say you can barely see them, but the monster pretenders or My Little Pony toys. And the My Little Pony toys is even worse because they have a metal washer for the tail. So there's a whole other molecular thing going on there with the rust. The rust causes oxidation inside the pony. And then because the oxidation happens from the rust, the gas from the oxidation has nowhere to escape. So then it tries to go through the pores of the vinyl or the rubber of the My Little Pony. And as a result, it creates pony cancer. And the reason why we have pony cancer with the pretender shells here is because the toys have screws in them. If the screws rust, you have a similar thing going on. It's a whole other, it's when you're dealing with metallurgy and physics and chemistry as a Transformer toy collector, that's why, like, you have to have a climate controlled environment and use smart lighting. Like, this is museum lighting for my G1. Unfortunately, I use regular lighting for everything else, but I'm not too worried about, I don't know, the stuff that's under the lighting there. Not power core combiners, Creo combiners and stuff like that and everything. Yellowing, I'm not too worried about that. Kevin PH with the gold super chat for $10. Pardon me, but G.I. Joe is just Transformers, but with human and military vehicles and not as cool as Transformers. Any chance on making it interesting beyond Gen X likely was killed after 9/11? Well, G.I. Joe has always been a super team. The comic book Marvel version, you could say otherwise, but GI Joe was a super team. That's all it's always been. Um, and the military vehicle stuff, it was a different time. It's I in the same way that when GI Joe came out in 82 and 83 and 84 and 85. And at that same time, when G.I. Joe and Transformers and He Man was hot, those same toy execs were trying to bring back Dick Tracy. We're trying to bring back Flash Gordon. We're trying to bring back the Phantom. We're trying to bring back all of these old 1950s, 1960s properties and them not being successful. Dick Tracy movie failed. Phantom never found his place. Flash Gordon, forget about it. They keep trying. They try every 5 to 10 years just to keep a trademark. Wink, wink. Story of everything, but it never works. And it's the same thing. I feel that those guys that we laugh, in the '80s, oh my God, Flash Gordon, Dick Tracy, the Phantom. Why do they keep trying? It's never working out. Well, unfortunately, and I love GI Joe, but unfortunately, GI Joe is the modern version of what was suffering for the Phantom, Dick Tracy, and Flash Gordon. And I know I'm forgetting some others, but it's just certain things just age out of the public pop culture consensus. And if a kid today wants to engage in military stuff or play with military stuff, they have Call of Duty, you know? And I've said before, Fortnite makes better GI Joe characters than Fortnite. There's a beachhead looking character, there's a Storm Shadow looking character. And if they want to get those characters, they'll get them there. And it's a video game. And I'm not even going to get into the whole rant of video game with kids today. So it's a very tough thing. Um, Protoman, what's for dinner? What time is it now? Oh, because we're running low. I knew it. The second people are asking about food, I know it's the end of that. Um, what am I having for dinner? Chicken soup made fresh by my lovely lady in my life. She literally took chicken, broth, carrots, onions, celery, made it from scratch, and having that because I am over the weather. I'll be better next week. I'll bounce back, I promise. Um, David Cabal says, "Hey, GI Joe is successful with classified, but that's it. Also, Skybound comics are great, but both of those things, unfortunately, are relying heavily on the adult demographic. Comic books, Skybound, it's all adults buying it, and classified, it's all adults buying it. There's just enough people buying that stuff for it to continue going. But if kids were such a deciding factor, where's our Joe cartoon? Where's our next Joe movie? The things where they would really like to invest. Comic books are a safe investment. Skybound's paying a license, go take care of it. Action figures. Oh, Super 7 wants to pay? Go right ahead. Classifieds, they do a couple of figures every so often. That's why they're numbered, you know, and that's it. They get away with it. But on a grander scale, they learned their lesson. They lost a lot of money during Snake Eyes, unfortunately. Talib, dude, I'm loving G.I. Joe and Transformer Skybound stuff. Yeah, hey, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not good. I love the comics too, but I'm just saying in terms of a mainstream demo targeting kids, it's not going to happen. I'm looking at my Dusty figure right now. I love Dusty. I want another Dusty. Could someone track down a vanilla Dusty for me? I want to get another Dusty figure because I want to have him without his helmet and stuff and everything. Love that guy. I love GI Joe, but it's like you have to be able to separate what you love and what's the reality of what's going on in the market. You're not going to get far if you let those two skew things. People, I want to work at Hasbro. Not if you bring your emotions into it. You're never going to work at Hasbro. It's going to screw you over day one. Michael Koo, Skybound Cobra Commander relies heavily on Energon Universe. So does well, they're trying to. Skybound is trying to make people buy multiple books. Like some people. Do I need to read Void Rivals? They ask me. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately you do because it's even though Void Rivals has very little Transformer content per se, it is part of the grander story. So you have to. Um, Even when you were a kid, no one liked GI Joe. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, when you were a kid, David, GI Joe was on its way out in the sense that it was the Eco Warriors. There was GI Joe Street Fighter stuff, which is I feel GI Joe made more money from Street Fighter toy sales than for being GI Joe. Then they cross pollinated with Mortal Kombat. And they didn't put the GI Joe logo on it, but it clearly was the Joe team making those Mortal Kombat toys back in the day for the movie stuff and the main line. But they survived. Clay, Lord, please help Protoman's cold. Don't worry, man. I'll be good. I have a beautiful woman that's taking care of me. I literally, you know what happened? It's the typical thing. You run a convention, people come, they want to say hi, you shake hands, you take photos with people and stuff, and then all it takes is one guy to make you sick, unfortunately. And you handle money that weekend, which anyone who knows money is covered with God knows what. So and Canadian money is plastic, so it's you could wash it at least, but no one does. I'll be fine by next week. Whenever I get sick, I'm like the tick. It's on YouTube. Go watch the episode, The Tick versus the Common Cold. I'm like the tick. I'm suffering at day 1 or 2, and then by day 3 or 4, I'm good because I got my Arthur. um, but yeah, great episode of The Tick. Shout out to Ben Unlin. Michael Koo. Michael Koo's. When I was a kid, GI Joe was 12-inch figures with kung fu grip. Oh, Michael, well, that's a different era. Hey Pro, did you get my info? No, I didn't, my friend. Send it to me through. I was waiting for it. What do you call it? We wanted to ship everything out. Send it to me through Instagram or Twitter, please. Send it to me through those two things, if you can. I did not see those, so please do. Protoman, would you recommend getting the Void Rivals trade paperback? I would. I mean, you get all the covers in the trade paperback too, which there's like so many covers, so you get to enjoy the art also. Snake Eyes movie was bad. Yes, it was. It was okay. It was okay. There was good elements, but in general, it was pretty bad. Anyways, guys, that's it more or less. Thanks again for another beautiful live stream. I powered through it. Um, I literally like, oh God, I had this on the side. I had the water. I had like three, like I already went through one. I was like, oh God, let's just get through this. Let's just get through this. I didn't want it, and it was crazy because last week Aaron did the Saturday, and no joke, on Friday, I was like saying to myself, I'm like, should I tell Aaron to take over for next Saturday too? Like I was like, Aaron, cancel your Friday, do it again on Saturday. I was like, you know what? No, because then I saw Aaron went live, and I was like, okay, I'll just do it. I'll power through. I'm glad I did. Thank you guys. Love you all. Great stuff as always. Again, I'll keep you guys. Yeah, it's an NHL. You can't get any more Canadian. It's an NHL. Yes, I know. It's still, Scotty original tissue. Where's my team? Where's my team? There they are. There's my boys. There's my boys, my Montreal Canadiens. But of course it's got to be a Canadian one. That's how you got to know. Live and die by it. But thank you again for everything. We got one more super chat, and then we'll call it quits. Kevin PH. Sorry if it sounds kind of ranty on the last question, but how has Transformers survived so long while most other storylines have fallen to obscurity? Transformation. It sounds so cliche, and I will go through it right now, and I've done this so many times, but I'll do it again. 84 to 86, they were the the cornerstone. People wanted to be Transformers. That is success when everyone wants to do what you're doing. But then in 87, Ninja Turtles came out and took over the world. And what did they do? 88, 89, Pretenders, Mutants, action figures. They were trying to do what Ninja Turtles was doing. All right. Then Micro Machines was doing well. Body L, which was later on going to, again, Body L, which then merged with Galoob. Galoob that then years later would merge with Hasbro, but at the time Galoob was an entity making tons of money with Micro Machines. Hasbro with Transformers did Micro Masters. You got to transform, go with what's hot, you know? Toy Biz, X-Men action figures, Batman action figures were killing it on the shelves through Kenner. They did Action Masters. Action figures were working well. All right. Then Power Rangers was going to be coming out. This big brand from Japan, the Sentais. They're going to be making their debut. What happened to the Dinobots in G2 in '93, the same year that Power Rangers debuted? They were multicolored Dinobots to trick the parents into accidentally buying a Slag or a Grimlock, thinking it was a Power Ranger. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Um, Let's fast forward a little more. Hot Wheels reached a peak of interest and everything like that in 94, 95. The GoBots, 1/64 scale that work on Hot Wheels tracks. Imagine Hasbro making stuff for the Mattel brand when you think about it. But that's because what was hot. Beast Wars. Jurassic Park was huge. You think Dinobot would have been a Velociraptor if it wasn't for Jurassic Park? You have that eye as the packaging. If it wasn't for the eye of the T-Rex in the window of the JP-93 in the Jurassic Park movie, I could keep going. So they were always going with what was hot at the time. And I could go on and on. When we go into Armada with Pokemon, gotta collect them all. When we go into Creo with the Lego hype that was happening. When we go into Bot Shots with Bakugan being really popular, when we could go into the Constructabots because of a certain line called Bionicle that was doing very well at the time. It was on its way out with 2009 and 2010, but Bionicle was still making tons of money for Lego. When they did the RPMs line, that's because the Cars line by Mattel was doing very well. They always transformed their brand to make it work with what was hot at the time. And guess what? When it's going to get stale, they'll do it again. And they'll always do it again. And that's how they've survived all these years. That's my ranty rant if you want one for a $5 super chat. I hope you learned something today, guys. Thank you all for coming by. Thank you for the super chats. They are always welcome, and it's always great because it helps support the podcast and keeps the lights on. Thank you for everything that you guys do for us. Again, if you want to keep supporting the podcast, we have Patreon down there. You could join. We have the YouTube membership, which is our lovely green names. Some people like to double dip both. They like to be patrons and YouTube members. Um, so help support the podcast extra if you want to join that stuff. That's it. Otherwise, for today, guys, I am out of here. I'm gonna go relax. I'm actually sleeping in the other room, not actually sleeping in the same room. I don't even want to get her sick. So I'm just gonna be chilling. Nintendo Switch alone. Sleeping sleeping in the guest room. and just relaxing and trying to get healthy. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, and always roll out.